Good evening. Good evening and welcome to Saita Straight Talk. The South African Informal Traders Alliance is the umbrella body to unite all our organizations and traders to bring about meaningful regulatory and economic change to the sector. So tonight in Saita Straight Talk, we will unpack the devastation inflicted on our informal traders during last month's devastation in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, and understand what the new directive on licensing passed by government affects on the informal sector. Tonight, our panelists, and I'd like to thank you and welcome you for your time, is our president, our national president of Saita, Mrs. Rashida Muller. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Comrade Louise. It's wonderful to be here.
Thank you. From KwaZulu-Natal, we have got, and we seem to have, he's joining us. I think we've just lost Comrade Msolo. We will greet him as soon as he's back online. We have got Lulama Mwali from Gauteng is supposed to join us, but she's let us know that she's stuck in traffic. Then we've got Mr. Paul Bester. He is the national head of Saita membership. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Louise. Good evening, other panelists. Thanks for having us. Very nice to be here tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We've also got Richard Dobson from KwaZulu-Natal from an organization called Asiya Itafuleni. Hello, Richard.
Yes. Hi, Louise. Thank you for your welcome and greetings to everyone listening and to the panelists.
Then we've got the man on the hot seat from the Department of Small Business Development, Mr. Mhlanganisi Masonga. He is the Director of the Sector of Specific Support. Good evening, Mhlanganisi. Welcome.
Good evening. If I knew I was in the hot seat, I wouldn't have turned up. That's why I didn't come and send me instead.
Don't worry, we'll send the cooling agents afterwards. And then one of our corporate partners from Philip Morris International South Africa, we've got Stephen Mtate. Good evening, Stephen, and welcome.
Good evening, Louise, and good evening to the other panelists. And it's really good to be here to meet some of the other, colleagues that I haven't met before. And yeah, looking forward to an interesting conversation.
If it's the first time you've joined our Facebook Live on Saita Straight Talk, I'm going to encourage you to make this a date in your calendar. Every Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m., we will be addressing pertinent issues pertaining to the informal sector. My first question this evening goes to our president. Rashida, tonight we're going to be discussing two critical challenges that our informal traders face right now. Please briefly explain to our viewers, who is Saita and why are these issues so important to highlight?
Thank you once again, and greetings to all panelists. It's really an honor to have you with us on Straight Talk, Saita Straight Talk. Indeed, Louise, Saita is a national informal traders movement. Saita stands for South African Informal Traders Alliance, and it is present in each of the 9 provinces of South Africa. The need for a united voice for the informal sector has been one that has always been there and has been missing. And since 2013, the Saita Alliance was formed and launched, and we have really worked very hard to have the voice of the informal sector being heard at national, provincial, and local government levels. Now, talking about our topic tonight, and I know we have very little time and we have a lot of panelists, we are talking about the impact of looting and also the waiving of permit fees. And I'm so glad that the Department of Small Business Development is with us tonight to give us some more clarity on certain matters. the looting, has really impacted upon our members, particularly in KZN and in Gauteng. And it once again showed the vulnerability of our members, because when the looting took place, all they had to do was run because of their lives that were was at stake. So a lot of them lost their infrastructure, they lost their stocks, and we are still very busy working alongside with the department, I must say. We've been getting a very good ear from them. And yes, that is the subject of tonight. I thank you.
Thank you, Rashida. I want to direct the conversation to Richard. Richard, most of the articles, the analysis and social media always reflects on the civil unrest and its impact on formal businesses. But is this a full and an accurate picture of the economic consequences now facing particularly KwaZulu-Natal?
Thanks, Louise. I think as you asked the question, in my mind's eye, an image that's been used, I don't know how many times, particularly on television, is of Durban's High Street, Plixi Kaseme, where the looting took place. But when the image is shown and projected, the conversation is always about the failure of formal business. And the total irony is that in the image, in the foreground, are the failed informal businesses. They're the tables that you can see destroyed, looted, amongst all the debris that obviously was gathered around that activity. And so I guess the key point we're making is the invisibility of informal workers within this debate and within the narrative around the unfortunate incidences that actually took place around the looting. And of course, one has to note that they are invisible to the general public, but of course not invisible to the Metro Police. So when people want to see them, they see them, and when they don't want to see them, they don't see them. But I think we really need to, and I'm conscious of time, and I'll probably make 5 quick points just to stir the debate up. So we do know that formal business and informal business are complementary. They actually offer a range of retail experience to the community. So it's not a question of whether one is succeeding or the other isn't succeeding. It's both need to succeed is what the point is about this debate. And so if one fails, we need to also bring the other along with them. And so Rashida's already started to allude to the fact that when informal businesses failed, the impact in some respects was absolutely far greater than it was to formal business. Formal business had insurances, formal businesses had all sorts of safety nets of various sorts, but we know what happened. Informal businesses lost their stock. They had to get into debt to restock their tables. That's in some of them have been able to do that. We've been interviewing people who are now just given up trying to be an informal worker altogether. They've actually gone home to their rural homes. So it's been catastrophic. We also know that in the complementarity I described, formal business and informal business bring customers into the central part of the CBD. And that's now what we've seen completely and utterly eroded, is that even if you're able to reestablish your business, there are no more customers, or certainly not at the volume that there used to be. So we've surveyed those main streets. We know certainly in Durban, we've lost 77 stalls. And we know that it'll take 5, probably 6 months before those customers return and can really start getting business up to the levels that they were. We also do know that there are sectors within informality, particularly informal recyclers, for instance, who depend on formal businesses and the waste they generate, particularly cardboard, cartons, and things like that, for their livelihoods. Now, that business is completely gone. And we've interviewed women who are literally virtually in tears as they try and finish the interview in terms of the life chance that they see ahead of them because they don't have any visible income or opportunities. Then we need to look also in the debate, I think, about economic recovery. So everyone is anxious about formal businesses, But we do know, and even Durban is using the figure, that informality contributes at least 5% to the national GDP. So if it's important to formal business, let us get into the program and actually respect informality and accord it the same dignity and the same importance in terms of the recovery initiatives that we should be putting in place. And lastly, just to say that we, in our experience, have just through COVID, and I think that's what we must also set into context as well. Informal workers have already had 18 months of disruption, indebtedness, lack of income through COVID, and now this is another layer of disruption and could well be the last blow that any informal worker can actually bear in terms of their work. So the offers that there are for economic support often come with kind of preconditions and gateway challenges that informal workers have to go through before they can even start to access them. First is often how they have to apply, but the most disruptive, and I think that's what I would really like to put on the table tonight, is this insistence that people, one, have to have permits, two, that the permits have to be paid up. Now, right through COVID, we've seen rampant, callous enforcement simply because people haven't been able to pay their fees. And I will take a second just to talk about one incident. It happened about a month ago. Informal worker was fined 600 Rand in the morning. The police came back to that same woman in the afternoon and fined her 1,200 Rand. Now, this level of callousness, I think, is just totally and utterly unacceptable. And so if there's an insistence that people draw benefits simply because of these gateways that they have to go through, I think that is just being totally unsympathetic and unreal at this time, at this point in time. And I'll leave it there, and if there's opportunity to pitch in later, I shall do. But let's leave it at that.
Thank you, Richard. I'm going to direct the next question to Mhlanganisi. I think that is why I told you you are on the hot seat, and Richard has now brought both topics, the topic of the looting, as well as the issue of the license and the license fees and the waiving thereof. He's brought to the table. But I want to put it to you before anything else. The procedures in assisting informal traders are all based on almost formal structures. They need to be registered. There's certain forms that need to be filled out. Help me and help our viewers to understand, how does the Department of Small Business Development assist an informal trader to not only get up from where they are, whether they are in KwaZulu-Natal or anywhere else in the country, by bypassing all of this, what I would call red tape. And then could you then also allude to the fee waiver and why municipalities are still going back to the punitive way of dealing with something that has been government gazetted?
Thank you, Louise, and to the panelists. I think first, in terms of just the application process, I possibly most of you know that Department of Small Business around 2013-14 released the National Informal Business Strategy, which one was saying we accord informal businesses their status. We will help those who gradually need to formalize and want to formalize, but we are not going to penalize informal businesses for not formalizing in certain aspects. With the informal business strategy, when we released it, we had a number of schemes. For instance, the micro informal entrepreneurs development scheme, IMED, which for the first time was one of the schemes that said you could apply for support without having a tax clearance. Remembering that always, one of the cornerstones is that no, you need to have a tax clearance. If you're going to use taxpayer money, show us that you don't owe tax. But we said, no, that is something we want to forego for informal traders, that when we start with you, we're going to assist you through IMED. And what we would require possibly is some form of basic registration. Then we even said, if you register to do a course with SEDA, which helps you on some aspect of your business, we will then begin to support you and afford you, and get you into the process. And the idea is that we gradually help people to formalize. When they are not ready to formalize, we don't penalize that. And the strategy then essentially said we will support informal traders without tax clearance, without CIPC, but we want to help you. I mean, the most quoted, I think the ILO, I don't know the number, for Gillian and Stephen know the number, the ILO, a convention that we signed up to around helping informal sector to formalize. We accept that, but our approach still is we are not forcing informal to formalize, and we don't want to penalize. So at the point of accessing government support, we've always then said that we are going to be working from the basis of the most minimal requirements. Now, the recent programs, even during as the COVID started, we released a number of programs for township, rural, and informal township and rural entrepreneurship, which includes the informal sector and some informal businesses in township, was such that we were saying one of the things we've discovered has been, Chair, you must tell me if I'm going around.
I'm going to direct you back to the highway soon.
Okay, let me leave that. So in terms of TREP and even the recent relief we're discussing for the businesses that have been affected by the public violence, again, we are not requiring your CIPC registration. We're not requiring lots of detailed forms and stuff. We do
so
still need to
require? What do you require?
One of the things that has been asked is, okay, how do we know that suddenly if we announce this, that anyone from the street will say I'm an informal trader? The other point people were suggesting was that what if we get the associations to give us a confirmation that these are our members? One. But the other approach also is that there are informal traders who do have permits and licenses, even though municipalities tend to charge lots of high fees. So that also is something that we require. And then we were saying, like we are asking even the formal businesses to get a police report or an affidavit to say, I'm an informal trader, this is where I trade, this is how I was affected by the public violence and the looting. So that would be some of the basic things we're requiring, especially the affidavit and the police report. And when you do have your license permit, even if it's expired, that is relevant. When we did TREP, we even said that the municipalities that don't issue licenses can just even write a basic letter because we just need that. Then, in terms of the question around the
Wait, I'm going to stop you there before you carry on, because there's something that you just said that has triggered something in me, and the alignment with Saita. You spoke about if help can come through associations. So Saita is this big voice. Paul Bester, I'm going to ask you to respond to that. How can Saita as an organization assist the Department of Small Business to channel resources through the channels that we have?
Thank you, Louise. I'm going to answer your question, but I want to just take 1 second that I want to add on to what Richard said when he opened up his session. If you look at what has happened with the looting in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal and the looters that has lost their property and stock, over and above that, those that are traders in the areas that has not been looted, the police closed these areas and the army closed these areas because it's unsafe. And so this informal traders that didn't, were spared the looting, they are now not allowed to trade in certain areas because that's unsafe, or it's an area that the police is patrolling. So those ones, they may not have lost stock, but they are losing income. And so over and above the fact that we have the informal sector in general suffers from this looting. Not only the ones that lose their stock, and we believe, and it's very hard so to see them losing this, to lose the stock. But at the end of the day, it also impacts thousands around, due to this. But getting back to what you have said, Saita and its members is across the country. We are willing to take the hand of the department in getting this. We know where our traders trade. We know what the issues are. We know what their concerns are. In Western Cape, for instance, we know that the municipalities are not adhering to this permit or to the permit waivering that the president has signed. It's as if the department and of the president's office signing an agreement or a ruling, or it's not adhere to. It's as if province first to relook and get a second opinion on the president's instruction. That's what we find here in Cape Town and Western Cape. So, I mean, I'm sure it's familiar and similar to all the others. Richard will talk about that. Comrade Msolo will talk about that. Is that the city, goes out and implements some kind of a rule that's not there. The president has waived it. So, I want to make a call to the department tonight to speak to me about what the issues is that they find the traders are not adhering to, so that we can take each other's hands. To release what you have is talk to me. I want to say, talk to me. I have the knowledge, the know-how, and the members. We have 2 million members across South Africa who would need the intervention that you have. So to speak to me, and we can work that way to walk the road together, so that they can help. We have particular issues. There's no time to speak on these particular issues tonight. We can speak to you, and the people will speak to me, and we can, have a synergy in that. Thank you, Comrade Louise.
Thank you, Paul. But you're referring to the DSBD, and you said you putting out your hand there to assist. We've also got informal traders watching now. What is your offer to the informal trader? Do you want to share your details so that they know who to contact?
Yes. So I just wanted to show that Saita as an association and alliance is a movement. And the stronger that we are, the more people we need to be. If you look at the union environment, the union like NUM, a National Union of Mine Workers, if there's a strike or a issue that makes people to strike in the Rustenburg area, for instance, the same people will strike in a mine in Gauteng and Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal because they have a solidarity. So what we want to have is solidarity. We want to help each and every one of informal traders and small business that has got an issue. So what we want to tell you is contact us at Saita, join Saita National at our email address, which is membership@sahita.org.za. I will repeat that, membership@sahita.org.za, or you can call me at 061 547 5879, and we will direct you, assist you, and see how we can best, assist you. But the first and foremost is join Saita. If you send the email to that email address that I've given you, or even a WhatsApp to my number, we'll direct you, get you the documents, get you sign up, so that we can become stronger. Because the more that saying that says, united we stand, divided we fall. So if we are united, we will stand up to whatever situation we're into. Thank you, Louise.
Thank you. Tatam Solo, I haven't, Mr. Mhlanganisi, I'm going to give you a moment to respond. I just want to greet Tatam Solo because he wasn't online when we greeted everybody. Good evening, Simpiwe. Welcome to the panel. Do you want to just, in a brief, just introduce yourself and just give us a quick idea of what you are finding as a trader in the current situation in KwaZulu-Natal? Can you hear me, Simpiwe?
Okay, thank you. You hear me all?
Yes.
I hear you. You hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. No. Yes, me, I hear you, but I don't hear you are hear me. Those here, there, I don't know.
We can hear
Hello?
you, Mr. Solo.
Hello.
Mr. Solo, you can just speak. We can hear you.
Comrade Masolo?
No,
I want to talk to. I want to speak to Zulu, please.
yes.
Hello.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead in
Zulu. I don't know. Sometimes somebody can translate me because I'm not perfect nice for English.
That's fine. That's fine. You carry on, Tatam Solo.
Yes. Ngiyabingelela kunina nonke njengoba nikhona lapho. Ngiyezwa nje ba ngiyabuzwa ke manje. Okay. Ngiyawuzwa umbuzo enobuza ukuthi i-idea yami ithini for as i-traders phansi akho konke lokhu kade kwenzeka. Ngifuna ukubeka nje kucace ama-traders affectekile kakhulu ngendaba ye-looting cause into yokuqala akubanga khona transport ukuhamba kuyosetshenzwa and secondly ama-traders amanye kwezinye indawo awanawo ama-storages
Okay, we seem to have a signal problem with Tatam Solo. I'm going to while we're struggling to get that signal back, Hlanganisi, you wanted to respond, and I'm very interested to hear your response. So please go ahead.
Well, just in terms of working with engaging with colleagues on the platform, my colleagues Stephen Umlo works very closely with yourselves, but one of the things that I would request, Paul, I'm not going to be contacting you. I'm going to actually turn the tables around. Saita should participate at NetLink. I know that StreetNet. Oh, is Mr. Msolo is back? Should I stop?
No. I'll ask back office to just mute him quickly, but you carry on, Planganise.
At NetLink, we have StreetNet and other organizations. I think also Saita's voice should be important there, so that in terms of as I say, Stephen Umlo communicates directly with yourselves, but I'm communicating and we're negotiating some of the issues around relief at the NetLink platform. And there's no reason why Saita and other community organizations are not sitting there. So that in terms of timing, as I say, from my role, I'm discussing the various options that government is thinking about, and we're all sitting that NetLink with community and the informal traders, with COSATU, with FEDUSA, with the business and everyone. So I would want to talk to you, Rashida and Paul there at NetLink, while Stephen communicates directly with you, because then that just makes things easier, that we all sit around the table and we're saying, in the same meeting where Labour was saying the TERS funding, community was saying the 350 rands must come back, and the informal traders were saying, but we have problems with our goods being confiscated. That's the platform that I think we should also engage on, which is the platform that I'm tasked with representing government, not just DSPT, but the government focus on SMMEs and informal traders. So I will request that, because then we will be on a platform that quickly also for COVID links very quickly to the net joins, which links to the NCCC, than just me on the sidelines talking to yourselves, because anyway, Stephen is doing that. With regards to the impact around access to the spaces, that as a matter, I will take up, and you can still maybe just drop me an email. I will take up not only at NetLeg, but at NetJoins, and in the economic work streams that feed on into the NCCC, to say that, because even the public violence is something that we're discussing at the NCCC, that yes, we have some informal traders who might have not lost stock, but they don't have access to the spaces. I will raise that as a matter of urgency at the NetJoins for that to be fast tracked, to be resolved, so that given that the situation is stabilized, now those spaces must be opened up for people to access them.
Thank you.
Let me stop there.
Thank you. Madam President, would you like to respond?
Thank you so much, Chair. Yes, indeed, Comrade Manglanganesi. I have been in a couple of meetings, Zoom meetings, where you were present. And yes, through Dr. Pat Horn of Community, Saita has come up to the work streams. So we are currently discussing at the work stream on the ease of doing business and the stringent regulations that needs to be, eliminated. The red tape needs to be cut. So we are there. We are at the NetLeg, but as we all know, government moves very slow, but we will continue as Saita, nothing about us without us, and we persevere and we never give up. So we will be pushing on at that level as well. But our concerns, Comrade, from the Department of Small Business Development is the fact that your agencies, SEDA and CEFA, we need, to have that open link discussions with them, because we feel that application forms are not speaking to our membership. We need to be there at the table when you design these programs, when you design these application forms. Have the input of the informal sector around that table before it goes out, so that we know that we participated and this is what our members would be able, to complete. The results that has been coming through for COVID relief is very minimal. And I must say, we do appreciate the fact that there is this move now of applying through associations. And that's exactly what we're going to do. With regard to the looting, there was a request from the Department of Small Business Development that we do a pilot through the looting for relief. We've submitted 100 names from KZN and from Gauteng, so that we can, firsthand help the department in the partnership to roll out to our members who are directly affected by the looting and need that immediate relief. Although the 100 is but a pin, a drop in the ocean of those affected. So yes, to answer there, Louise, we are at NetLeg. We are engaging the department, but I don't think we have a very clear and open line to SEDA and CEFA at a national level, where I think Saita's participation would be critical. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I think that is something that we're going to keep on our burner, because that requires another session like this, so that we can unpack specifically that. So Mhlanganisi, best you clear your diary, because we're going to see a lot of you in the next couple of weeks. I do want to give you the floor, however, and because our time is almost running out, and we haven't heard from Stephen yet. But I do want to just talk about the waiving of the permit fees. If you could just briefly explain to us and just reaffirm that it is a rule that was signed off by the President. Help us to understand why all municipalities are not understanding that, and what can our traders do when their goods are either confiscated and or they are being asked to pay exorbitant license renewal fees when we know that there's been a moratorium on those fees until the end of 2022?
Thanks for that, Louise. I guess we, maybe even for government to say that it was gazetted is not enough. It's almost like this, as they say, if you want to hide money from a black person, put it in a book. Maybe our own local government are not reading the gazette.
Hear that. So you're going to get in trouble, and you're on your own.
So we've agreed at our ESCO and MENCO that beyond the gazette, beyond that president announced, we've written to SALGA, we've written to COCTA, copying them the president's announcement and the directions. We'll also be writing directly to the district and to the local municipalities and engaging them, so that they are aware that this is gazetted. Here's what some municipalities are saying. The Constitution says that national and province have concurrent function to regulate trade. And then it says municipalities have exclusive function to regulate street trade. And that's what the Business Act affirms. So some municipalities are trying then to say, but no, you can't tell us that you've done this ruling on street trade. What they are forgetting is that this is a relief because of the pandemic, and it is issued on the basis of the Disaster Management Act, and not on the Businesses Act, which talks to just licensing that we are responsible for. Yes, we had to issue the directions from small business because we're responsible for the National Act on which talks to business licenses and permits. That National Act says municipalities have right to do regulations around street trading, but the Disaster Management Act overrides and gives powers above that. So these directions are, although they're talking to the Businesses Act and the issue of permits and licenses, which is in the Business Act, that issued on the basis of the Disaster Management Act during this pandemic. And therefore, they override those powers that the municipality could say, we have the power to decide regulations for street trading. And that's what we'll be writing to municipalities to clarify to them, to say, yes, as small business, we have to issue the directions because we are responsible for the Business Act, which talks to licenses and permits, but the disaster management, this is a pandemic. You are not there full-time to process licenses and permits or renewals, but your metros are harassing people to say you don't have a renewed license. So that's why we're giving space, because we as government, we're not going to the office every day, we're going on alternate days. So there isn't the capacity, even before COVID, we're not processing the licenses in time anyway. That's another story. I hope this is not recorded. But the key thing here is that the directions are issued on the basis of the Disaster Management Act, which says because we have a disaster, because we are working remotely, and there is not time and enough people to process permits in time, we are actually extending the validity of all business licenses and permits till December 2022, and people don't have to pay renewal fees. Even the new applicants, because we've said there could be people who were in the formal sector who lose their jobs because of the pandemic, who say, I have a bit of saving and I want to try to buy and stock something and sell, that they need to be given permits on minimal requirements and not pay a license fee. And it is on the basis of the Disaster Management Act because we have a pandemic and a serious challenge. So that's what we'll be writing to the municipalities to further explain to them how this is working out and clarify that so that we're all on the same page. maybe let me stop there, but that's basically the direction. We did consider the issue of specifically lifting up the issue of confiscations, but we did not win that war. It was one of the proposals we took forward to say we want to specifically say in the directions that confiscation of goods and trading equipment is suspended. But we did not win that war, because when we go to net joints and NCCC, all the other ministers raise their issues. Minister of Police will raise his issues, minister, etc., etc. But nonetheless, our take is that at least for all the informal traders who have permits and licenses, even though they're expired, they have up till December 2022. And in the interim, also they could start slowly renewing them, and therefore their products should not be confiscated, because even the expired permits are now valid. So we are moving from that. At least we have comfort that we can push that argument, even though we could not specifically include the clause on suspension of confiscations. Similarly, even for the new applicants. And as I say, we didn't win the war on specifically insisting on specifying that no confiscations. Other issues were raised that people could start building shacks across the road and etc. etc. There'll be chaos. Nonetheless, we think we did have a small victory, but we are going to be communicating with municipalities, and Saita and all organizations should also then be saying to municipalities, this is issued on the basis of the Disaster Management Act, which overrides your provision in the Businesses Act that you can issue regulations for street trading.
Thank you, Mhlanganisi. That means if you are a trader that's been affected by anybody forcing you to pay a license fee when it has been waived, please make sure that you contact Saita. Paul Bester's number is 061-547-5879. That is a WhatsApp number also. Please send us your detail if you've been affected. Let Saita contact the municipality on your behalf. You don't have to do this on your own. Now, we've now done the legislation.
Just quickly, please also alert us to the municipalities that are doing that, so that we also follow up on them.
Thank you. We will do. That's some lovely buy-in there from the DSBD. But now we've dealt with the not so good stuff, but we have to in this time also celebrate the good things, and that's our corporate partners. So corporate partners for Saita is pivotal. I'm hearing something and I don't know where that comes from. So just to go back, Stephen, your assistance and your partnership with Saita is pivotal. It's pivotal not only for the informal sector, but it also assists the informal sector to help the South African economy rebuild itself. So just briefly, give us an idea of how this partnership as a corporate has been beneficial to your organization.
Well, thanks, Louise. I think, Saita's partnership with PMI has really gone a long way in terms of, assisting us as a company to meet our business objectives. As you might know, 80% of tobacco sales here in South Africa happen in the informal economy. So any disruption as far as, trade in the informal sector is concerned, therefore does have a direct also impact on us as a company, and I think the industry in general. Saita has been quite pivotal when it comes to issues of illicit trade. As you know, there's quite the illicit trade, percentage currently stands at something like 40% of the market. And Saita has really been in the forefront of engaging government, I would say, to a certain extent on behalf of the industry as well, in terms of raising this very important issue, because it's not just an issue that has a direct impact on the informal traders or us as a company or the industry in general, but it has an impact on the government in terms of revenue collection. Currently, the government is missing out on approximately 10 billion rands in lost taxes, which could actually be used for developmental, objectives in the country. We have high rates of employment as a result of the pandemic. The rioting that has actually, taken place both in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal has actually added a burden on the already high numbers of unemployment here in the country. So the fight that Saita has really carried on behalf of the industry has been really great. And I think for us also in, trying to reciprocate and assist, we've also made, some, really small donation in terms of contribution to try and assist, some of the informal traders that have been impacted by the, pandemic, as well as the recent looting. Some vouchers have been donated in terms of food parcels to, to Saita's organization in terms of, onward transmittal to their members, so as to make sure that we try and alleviate the plight that has been caused by the pandemic and the recent rioting. But in general, I just want to say that, the impact that the informal traders, in terms of the numbers, the engagements that they've made for the industry, for the company, has been really tremendous. And, we value it so much that we see it lasting for many years to come. And, I just want to personally, and on behalf of the company, thank Saita, Rashida in this regard, and all the members in general for what they've done so far for us as a company, and I think the industry in general.
Thank you, Stephen. On that note, 15 minutes after our planned time, it's time for us to say goodbye. My name is Louise from Saita Straight Talk. Catch us again on Tuesday at 7 o'clock, where we have some more discussions that affect the informal sector. Till then, good night, goodbye, stay safe and keep warm.
Good night.